Hello, welcome to Money Talks. I'm your guest host, Elizabeth Neo, with this special series, Am I Adulting Right?, where we aim to help you navigate adulthood and figure out how to set yourself up for financial success. In today's episode, we'll talk about that once-in-a-lifetime wedding you're happily ever after. Now, ask anyone who's gotten married, and I'm sure the general consensus is that it can be a really stressful affair. Securing the perfect venue and your photographer, the outfit of your dreams, managing your guests and their ever-changing requests, accommodating your partner's or your parents' or your in-laws' preferences, all while keeping your sanity and the entire event within budget. And that's what this episode is about. We'll help you look at how much and how to keep it within budget, and even how to navigate tricky money discussions with your partner and family. I just want to put it out there that there is no right amount that you should be paying for your wedding. Ultimately, it boils down to the couple and, in some instances, their families too. Just know that it should not put you in debt. Joining me is Hellen Lie, founder and creative director of wedding planning company Rosette Designs and Co. Hi Helen, thanks for joining me.
Hi Elizabeth, thank you so much for having me.
So Helen, you plan your own wedding. Do you remember how much you spent? Tell us more about it.
Okay, so I have my weddings in 2 days, 19th and 20th June 2010, and we split it into two events actually. It's an outdoor wedding with solemnization and buffet and also dance in Fort Canning for 100 pax. After that, we have hotel ballroom dinner reception in Conrad Hotel for about 220 pax. And I just look at our budget again for this interview. We spent about 80K for both events, so it's actually very reasonable. If we have to do it all over again at this current situation, current economy, we're gonna spend 40% more than that budget.
Wow. And these guests that appeared in the Fort Canning wedding, did they also go for the hotel wedding after that? Repeat guests?
Yes, the repeat guests. So we don't consider ang pao for the first event because they only give once ang pao.
And were you able to make back from the ang paos?
Yes, actually we covered the dinner.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, so our guests were quite generous.
Well, you've been wedding planner as well for many years now. Tell us about your most memorable wedding. This could be one of the most lavish, the most beautiful and romantic one, or the one with maybe the most meltdowns.
Okay, we have done about 600 plus weddings.
Wow.
So all weddings are special, but the one that is very memorable is this wedding for just 40 guests in a private island in Nicole Island, and the couple is very unique and they're very chill and they have a fun theme, steampunk, so gothic theme on the island. And then the guests will spend 3 days 2 nights there. It's remote island, so I think that is one of the most memorable wedding for us because we bring all the flowers, we plan, and then we also lay up everything by our team.
Do you remember how much the couple paid for this wedding?
It's not cheap. Renting the whole island is about 30K back then. Mm-hmm. And maybe plus everything, I will say maybe about 40.
So about 40K to rent the island, including
food, including the accommodation.
Your services?
Yes, including
flowers?
Flowers, yes.
Accommodation as well?
Yes, because you have to stay there, right? So including accommodation. But I think the guests pay for their own transport for the ferry ticket.
Sort of like a mini vacation.
Yes, it's paid vacation for the guests, yes.
To me, it sounds, pretty reasonable, especially since this is quite a unique concept. Any other special weddings that you recall out of the more than 600 that you've planned?
Okay, most of the memorable weddings will be where the couple actually have a different theme. I got to know this couple that they only spend the amount for the hotel is their minimum, but they want to have it lavish in terms of theme. So they really love Tokidoki, and they want their whole wedding to be a Tokidoki theme, like a launch party of Tokidoki. So we have all the decorations, table is full of Tokidoki memorabilia. And we even got the illustrator for Tokidoki to sign something for couple.
How many people were there?
I think that one was minimally 280. Okay.
Well, I'm assuming this was before the pandemic.
Yes, before the pandemic.
Right? Because during the pandemic, people had to get creative, but in other ways, because of the restrictions on the number of people you could have, some opted for simple ROM. They did virtual weddings. Post-COVID, right now we're slowly returning to bigger wedding banquets. Is that something you're seeing?
I think COVID changed perspective of wedding, where in the past most wedding happened in the hotel with whichever minimum table that the hotel set, and then mainly invite the relatives. But now I think couple are more mindful of the number of the guests they will want to invite, and we're seeing wedding maybe now range about 100 to 150, whereby before COVID that was considered small, but now it's actually quite common. Of course, because of the COVID restriction being eased, there are bigger weddings. This year we have a few weddings, 400 guests to 800 and 900. Yes,
Wow.
it's coming back.
That's a revenge wedding.
Yes. Usually when the couple has maybe businesses, when they have to invite their clients and maybe big pool of relatives. So yeah, those are for the bigger numbers.
Personally, I got married a couple of months back, and our guest list was like about 150 people. And to me,
nice.
that was already a lot of
Yes.
people. My idea was always to have a very small and intimate wedding. It's starting to become more common to see smaller weddings.
Yeah, smaller wedding is common. In fact, now it's not so taboo to have wedding of 20, whereby last time maybe it's unheard of wedding of 20 packs. But now we are seeing 50, 30 guests. Yeah, a few weddings like that. Yeah.
What would you say is the average cost of a wedding today? How has COVID changed the price of things? And also now we're dealing with inflation, GST has gone up, basically everything has gone up. How much more would you be paying for the main components of a wedding?
So 40% of your wedding budget comes from the venue. So it really depends on which venue do you choose. Firstly, if you are thinking about hotel wedding, the minimum is 50K. We have couple that spends more than 100 to 150K for hotel wedding, and it's not even a big wedding, not even like a few hundred wedding, but maybe about 200, they can spend more than 100K. So it actually depends on the venue. I would say if you are looking into hotel, then have a minimum 50K. But if you're looking at maybe restaurant or even other venue rental, then it could be lesser than that.
For those who are religious and they have to hold like a traditional wedding as well, the rental cost for a church, temple, those have gone up as well.
Yeah, but I don't think it's significantly more than hotel is increased. So it's still okay. And we are seeing more and more a couple having a luncheon after the church ceremony. So this also can save a lot of money because you can just cater the lunch and then that's it.
Yeah. So you talked a bit about saving money, having
Yes.
luncheons instead, not having it at a hotel. I'll come back to that because I want to ask you for some hacks and some tips.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So for a couple who has decided to get married, where should they begin? Do you start with what you want, or should you start with how much money you are willing to spend and then go from there?
When you first plan for the wedding, of course, you will need to sit down and then look at the objective of the wedding. Is it for our family? Is it for us? And who do we want to invite? And how big is the wedding? Start from there, then look at how much you want to spend, actually. So if you say that, okay, I think our family is okay if we have it small, then you can think about what kind of wedding you want. Money-wise, once you settle the type of wedding that you want, then the money you can set easily. If you want to have a hotel wedding, then this is the budget. Because taking into consideration the hongbaos, yes, that is actually some of consideration when you want to set a budget. But what kind of feel that you want for the wedding, that's most important. Let's start with the objective first.
So what kind of wedding you want?
Yes, what kind of feel, what kind of memory you want. Is it more chill, more cozy, or is it more sit down or black tie? So yeah, that will determine a lot on your budget.
What about for people who have obligation in terms of like how many people they have to invite? Should you also consider this at the start rather than after you get your type of wedding and then how much you're willing to spend and then you can fit X number of guests? Should you consider how many guests you have to invite at the start?
Yes, this may be the conversation with the family because you can always limit your friends, but how do you limit your relatives, right? This is a good conversation to have in the beginning with your family. Say, hey, we are getting married. Okay, mom, dad, we are planning to have this kind of wedding. What do you think about relatives? Because, if you want to have an outdoor wedding, you maybe cannot invite all your elder relatives, right? We actually see more of ease in terms of expectation of parents because of COVID. Yeah, I think couple has more say in terms of what is meaningful for them, what kind of wedding they want, instead of obligation of inviting relatives.
So you're saying maybe parents these days, the in-laws, they're more accepting, they're more open-minded, I suppose, after the pandemic in terms of like wedding doesn't always have to be hotel, 8 course, smoke machines.
Yeah, I don't speak for everyone, but I can see that the trend is more ease towards a couple's expectation and their own.
Why do you think that is so?
I think COVID really changed how we perceive relationship and also what's meaningful. So it's no longer what's obligated to us.
Yeah, on the couple's part, they get to be a little bit more selective of who gets invited. And also in the guest part, we have to be more understanding if people choose to turn down the invitation because, I guess.
And it's also cost. Cost is a big part also.
Right.
And also ang pao, right?
Yes. Yeah. So with the increase in GST and inflation and basically cost rises across a whole bunch of things, as a wedding couple, can they expect their guests to be giving bigger ang paos, more generous ang paos?
I think it depends on the relationship with the guest. It's no longer about how much is the ang pao rate in that venue. Sometimes it become, not reasonable anymore. Some place can be like 350. So if we are times 2, you pay 700.
Yes.
So that's actually a lot of money. So we are seeing actually more of the close friends giving more. And there's a base rate, but to be honest, couple nowadays can't really expect the ang pao to cover the venue.
Exactly. So this is what I want to ask you next. When you're planning your wedding, you're budgeting. Earlier, you mentioned something about like taking into consideration the ang pao that you will receive. Should that be factored in earlier on in your planning? Or should you just actually not think about it and just think about it as like a bonus?
For us, we took consideration of how much ang pao we have, but maybe we don't take 100%, we take like the conservative of 50%. So maybe 50% we can cover, then we plan based on that.
So you would go into the wedding planning thinking that you would be able to cover about 50%.
Yes.
And then you adjust your budget from there.
Yeah.
Is it fair to expect your guests to help you cover the amount? For example, I throw my wedding at some really lavish hotel, and of course the ang pao rate is like $300 to $400 to $500. And also if I'm a good friend or family of the wedding couple, is there expectation that these people should actually help to cover?
Okay, this is quite tricky because even for my own wedding, we know what is their background. So we don't really expect a lot from certain people. But I think if you have expectation that your guests will cover this amount, that will jeopardize your friendship. Right. So I think it's best not to have any expectation, especially for the wedding itself, especially if you have it in venue like Capella or Clifford Pier. There's extravagant cost, right? You have to consider that you already have a fund to finance the whole wedding without taking in consideration the ang pao. That was my suggestion.
It's also got to do with the type of wedding, right? So obviously if you have it in a hotel, chances are the ang pao will be a bit bigger than say if you have it at an outdoor location or a bar or a club. These are also gaining popularity. Do you expect your ang paos to be less?
Generally, ang pao rates has a certain kind of minimum amount. So sometimes you can cover. Like I have a client who totally cover their wedding, even they earn a little bit from the ang pao because of the friends. Plus their wedding venue is not expensive, but they have a lot of good friends and they invite. So their ang paos easily above what is the venue covers.
So from the point of view of a guest, should I be following all those ang pao rates that I see online?
Yeah, well, hotel now the ang pao rates is about 120 to 360. I will say also look at your finance. If it's very stretched for you to maybe give that amount, then you can give lesser. To be honest, I'm for following the rates, but if it's not within your means, then maybe just give it what you want.
Okay, and here's a personal hack from me. I will follow the rates, but I won't bring my partner.
Yes, definitely.
And if I have kids, I won't bring my kid.
Yes.
So another part of wedding planning is paying for the wedding. So a talking point episode back in 2018 said that some people use 3 years of their savings to pay for their wedding. Others even took a loan. What advice do you give your clients when it comes to how much money they should be spending? Do you think taking a loan is a good idea?
Personally, I'm not into taking loan. You don't want to start your marriage with a debt. So I think really first thing, spend within your means. Have a conversation of how much are we willing to fork up within our means. Of course, I see more and more couples being helped by the parents in terms of financing the wedding. So that is also helping the couple to budget. So I don't think you should take a loan. You also must think about the housing. You also must think about maybe your children. I will say still budget for that.
Yeah, and basically not go into debt funding a wedding.
Yes, yes.
So assuming that you're not going to take a loan, you're going to pay for this yourself, then you obviously have to start saving, right? How far ahead should you start saving? The moment he pops the question, or
Usually that's what, 1 year, right?
yeah.
I see couples, they get together, they know that this is the person that they want to marry. That's where they start saving. Of course, you will have savings anyway. You can spend maybe not entirely 100% for the wedding itself. Maybe a good like 50%, 60%.
So you mean 50 to 60% of your total savings?
Now we have both couple financing the wedding.
Yes.
In the past, sometimes only the guy financing the wedding. But we see women having financial power, so they could also finance the wedding and have the weddings they want. So now it's a bit balanced, I would say.
So for example, maybe you can just give us a rough guide. How can we start to save? The proposal has happened and we know we're going to get married already. So should we set aside money every month?
Like joint account.
Yes, open a joint account. And
Open
then
a joint account. Well, we did that. Me and my husband, my fiance then, we opened a joint account and we save money. Actually, our engagement took about 1.5 years. So we save money, set aside, and then we managed to finance our wedding.
So it took about 1.5 years to save for the wedding.
Yeah.
And did you have money left over for a nice honeymoon?
Yes, actually our wedding budget includes honeymoon as well as my wedding planner costs.
I see. Okay, do more people hire wedding planners these days, or do you see people opt to just plan things themselves?
Well, having a wedding planner is a luxury, not a necessity. Only maybe 10% couples have a wedding planner. If you're very busy and you don't mind spending, it's really good to have wedding planner because these are the professionals that do wedding day in, day out. You definitely have a different final outcome, guest experience if you have a wedding planner. But I think what you cannot save is having someone professional that runs the wedding on the actual day, like wedding coordinator. I've seen too many couples get stressed out on the wedding day because it's really hard to manage the day of coordination. I've seen grooms screaming to vendors and getting really stressed out, worked out because it's really stressful on the actual day. Couple don't know how much is the pressure on the actual day. So sometimes they expect their friends to help them, but the friends also get worked out. So I think if you want to save, don't skim the wedding coordinator.
Okay, so wedding coordinator will only appear on the day itself, right? Would they typically cost less than a wedding planner?
Yes, they typically cost less because maybe they only pick up with the program 2 months before and then just make sure your wedding runs well and then you can enjoy and your friend doesn't have to book on your wedding day.
So wedding planner is a luxury, not a necessity. A wedding coordinator is more necessary to have.
Yes.
What else are necessary for the wedding? So obviously food, also flowers, stuff like that. What are some things that you can save on and what are things that you should not scrimp on?
So I think this is the conversation at the beginning that you have to have with your partner. What is most important for you? Let's say there's 15 categories of vendors and you don't have budget to get all the vendors that you want. You can pick few, maybe pick 3 or 5. These are the item that is very meaningful for me. For example, maybe decor. I want to have a nice decor. So I set aside a certain budget for the decor and then maybe the rest I can do bundle. So having a bundle package is also one of the hacks. Of course, the photo, video. For me, right, I kind of regret not having a videographer for my wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't have a videographer.
Because now I see, right, I think I want to relive the moment.
I see.
Yeah, but if it's okay if you don't have, everybody have different regrets. So those are my one regret I wish I have.
We decided not to have a videographer because we thought, when will we watch the video? We'd rather look at the photos, and plus we'll just get our friends to send us, like, if they have any funny Instagram boomerangs or videos, they can just send it to us. What I did regret though was spending quite a bit on my bouquet.
Okay.
Because I lost it.
Oh, how?
Yeah, I don't know where I placed it, but it was, as you said, right on the wedding day, there's just so much going on. And then basically we were like all over the place, and I don't even know where my bouquet went. The restaurant probably tossed it aside. I kind of regret spending money on the bouquet. I mean, it was nice for some pictures, and I do hope we took enough pictures with the bouquet. But if I had to think of stuff that I regretted, then it would be spending so much money on the bouquet.
Okay. Did you get a wedding coordinator?
No, but I had a very sweet florist slash decorator, and she doubled up as the coordinator. And I had pretty good bridesmaids, I guess. But also, we were chill. We didn't really have too much going on. We'll go to church, and then after that, we'll see you guys at the lunch, eat cake. That's it. Go home.
Okay.
So
so that will do. If your program is simple and you have friends who are maybe in the event industry, and also they are quite on the ball on the event, that's very helpful in terms of managing the actual day.
Okay, Helen, can you also tell me what are some other hacks? Being in the industry for so long, I suppose one really big one is to have luncheons instead of dinners, because that costs less.
Yes. And also maybe have it on weekday. That's also a big portion, because venue take 40% of your entire budget. So that's a big part, where you have it and when, and also the timing. And if you want to save, you can go with bundle package, a lot cheaper, and you have a more bargaining power than just individual a la carte vendors. The quality now is also getting better. Maybe for gowns, I seen my couple burst budget on gowns because they just couldn't resist.
I understand that.
Yes, I have a couple that only have 5K actually for their gown, but they went and see a beautiful wedding gown and they get to try, and it cost 15K, and they went for it. I was like, are you sure? But it's okay, it's your wedding.
Because it's a once in a lifetime, right?
Exactly.
And then all the pictures, you're going to be in that dress, and then the people be taking photos of you in that dress. So obviously I understand that if they want to be in an outfit that they won't regret.
Yeah, exactly. So money means a different for different people. They maybe feel like, if I don't take this gown, then I will regret, and all the money in the world could not replay that moment for my wedding, because I only have it once. You need to have 20% buffer actually for your budget.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we do with our couple. Like, this is your budget, but actually expect about 20% more.
Okay.
And you see something that you like, right? Maybe these are the amount that actually you can spend.
Right. Okay, so have a budget, but then factor in 20% more just in case you see something that you really like, or, say last minute changes that require a little bit of a top up.
Yes.
Any other hacks that you may have? Is it true that non-hotel weddings would typically cost less?
Yes, of course. Actually, after COVID, most of hotel increased their minimum spend, and also the amount of packs. So if you want to save, maybe go for venue rental with all other component logistic brought in. NParks has a few venues that is quite good. I know Hot Park is also popular among our couple. The venue itself is already pretty. You don't have to spend a lot for decorations.
Right.
Yeah, Berkeley Hall, like venue like that, it also can save money. Also, you will have more meaningful or maybe more memorable, different kind of wedding.
So spots like Hot Park, which are already lush and green,
yes,
you therefore can save on your decor, and you probably just have to think about food.
You still have to have logistic, because the place doesn't come with logistic and decor.
Right.
Yes, but at least the rental itself, it's already way lower than hotel. Yeah.
Another difficulty is communicating, I suppose, with your partner and your family. Sometimes your in-laws, your parents, they still may have some requirements, your partner as well. How do we have these tricky money conversations with them?
Okay, that is a tough question that we're still navigating. Try your best not to be confrontational, and also if you have to go to your in-law and then maybe limit certain things. Maybe just be honest with them, especially in terms of the finance. Because we do see our couple battling with our in-law about certain demand. But when they brought it up, okay, we don't want to be stressed out with the finance, then actually the in-law or the parents understand. Because in the end, what is important for them is their kids have a lasting marriage. So I think being open is very important. And then you just, okay, I tahan, then I just want to have face. I think that's quite tough. And just be authentic and just be open.
Just
with
be
them.
honest with
Yes.
your difficulties, if
Yes.
any. But what if your in-laws or your parents say, I give you the money, I give you some money, but you don't want it?
We see our couple have bigger wedding, like 80, 90 tables, and then just say, because my father-in-law have like 50 tables to invite. Well, I will say that you can still have your after party with your friends after that. But maybe the front part, yes, we want to give in to your parents. I'm so sorry, but yes, as a children, that we want to respect our parents. So unless you really, really object about that, yeah, you can actually speak up.
Yeah, best not to start off
Yes.
on a bad note.
Yes, I understand. And I think if you're marrying to a certain type of family, you already know from the beginning, right? Yes.
So to suss out, what is going to be expected of you
Yes.
and learn how to manage that.
Yes, but we also have a few weddings that they break up just 1 week before the wedding because of wedding issues. Yes, we don't want to go to that
Right.
extent. Yeah.
Okay, definitely hope this does not happen.
Yes,
to-
often. Yes.
Yeah, it does not happen often, doesn't happen to our listeners. Helen, before we conclude, can I just have your best advice to a couple that is about to plan or that is planning their wedding? What should they do? How should they be wise in spending for their wedding?
Okay, so communication is very important at the beginning to really discuss of what kind of wedding, what is the dream, where is meaningful for you. I think what I already say just now, you have to have conversation of the objective of the wedding, then plan the budget within your means. Actually, this is very important for not overspend. Don't do things because your friends also do it. I've seen that if my friends have this, I also need to have this. I think wedding should be the representation of both of you and your love story. So start with your honest communication and togetherness. I feel that that's most important. And also think about what impression or what memorable memory you want your guests to have. Then also build from that. From there, actually, it's easier to plan. I've seen in my line of work, I've seen couple actually quarrel during the wedding preparation, and it gives me a vibe like, okay, this is a test, and how do you gonna manage difficulty of marriage if wedding is still like a struggle? So communication and just compromise, I will say, with each other.
Some say it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. To others, it's just a one-day affair. Whichever camp you fall into, the financial concerns should not overshadow your big day. Think of all this planning and communication with your partner as practice for all the big money decisions that you will have to make in the future. And that's it for this episode of Am I Adulting Right? Thank you so much to our guest today, Hellen Lie. We're heading for a season break, so do join us when Money Talks returns with Season 2 in mid-April. In the meantime, do check out our other Money Talks content. You can find us on the CNA app or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit that follow button to be notified when our new season drops. And if you've got other topics you think we should cover, drop us a note at cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg or tweet me at ElizabethNeoCNA. The team behind this podcast is Joanne Chan, Jacqueline Chan, Saye Win, and Crispina Robert, with me, Liz Neo. Thanks for listening.